Run. Natural. Hello, hello. Come on in. Pretty room for you guys. Hello. Come on in. Hello, everybody. Yes, indeed, Marvin. If you have a question, top rank, please, I'll get to it. I haven't had a chance to do it, or the administration have, but feel free to ask any questions during this thing if you have any questions. Hello, hello, hello. Thank all you guys for joining tonight. Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate that. Charlie, if it's possible, if you can help me out with any of the questions and pinning them, I appreciate it, brother. It's going to be a beautiful night tonight. You guys have just joined the Moment of Truth. And as it was just saying, we're going to have a good time talking about some real healthy stuff. Michi, what's up? Come on in. Hey, Jackie. Thank you, baby. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Mike, what's up? Okay. So as you guys know, it's Thursday night and it's 7:30, and you have now joined the Moment of Truth. And tonight we have Chef Khepra, who's going to be giving us some in-depth, good information about eating, detoxing. Day, what's up? Detoxing, fasting, how that combines with astrology. I'm excited. I haven't seen them come in the room yet. If you have joined us, Khepra, please say something or send a request. Until then, I'm going to go ahead and take a couple of seconds and just go over your bio. Can you guys see me great? Can you hear me fine? If you can hear me or see me fine, put a power fist in the chat line. Okay, good deal. So Chef Khepra has devoted his life to being a chef. Khepra Anu has dedicated his life to sharing his knowledge of the power that the live food lifestyle combined with systematic fasting has on the body. Over the last 15 years, he has hosted numerous health retreats in the United States and internationally, during which he guides participants through his unique approach of preparing and detoxifying the human body through the scientific and mechanical application of coconut water, fresh juices, and living food. In 2011, Khepra expanded his platform by opening Khepra's Raw Food Juice Bar in Washington, D.C., which featured in Washington Post Best Eats in 2012. In 2013, Khepra was featured speaker at the Green Earth Festival in the Bahamas and a panel guest speaker at the Natural Living Seminar at Howard University. In the same year, Khepra's design of raw food burger not only won him the Best Raw Cuisine Award and the Best Food on the Planet competition in Ocean City, Maryland, but it also was featured in Weta's Best Burger in Washington, D.C. television program. His raw food creation have continued to earn him accolades, which his most recent honor being the ECAC 2014 Raw Food Festival, whose attendees voted for his cuisine #1. Without further introduction, I see he just joined us. I'm going to go ahead and introduce and bring Khepra up in here. Second here. Thank you guys for joining. I'm loving it. I'm loving the support. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for joining us tonight. For those who don't know, we started this thing because we wanted to take these platforms and find a way of providing. Oh, look at him, Khepra. What's going on, brother? How
What's
you?
up, man? What's up? What's up?
How you
I'm
doing,
trying to get
man? I am
myself together.
I am excited, man. I'm just excited. What you got in your hand there?
Oh, this is my headphone, so I can.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm
gotcha.
outside. I want to
Okay,
make sure I can hear you. Hear
Keisha.
you.
Yes, sir.
You know, we
Okay.
gotta
Yeah,
get with this technology. Oh, hold
got
on.
you. Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
What's up, brother?
Hey, what's up,
How you doing, man?
man? Wonderful. Thank you for
Bro,
inviting me.
no, bro. I want to first start off, man, because I know you're building a couple of companies. You also are a chef now, and for this to happen, it means a lot to me, but a lot to the individuals who we have put the word out. I mean, what I'm getting back from what you doing and what we're having you on this platform is a lot of people are really interested on who's the genius behind a lot of the foods that we've been promoting. So first of all, the community connoisseurs, thank you, bro. We love you, man, and appreciate you spending an hour time at minimum with us to see if we can get we can pick your brain a little bit. So without going further, Kepper, what I would like to do is, challenge you with a question. Who is the guy behind the genius that is making these foods, is making these cooked foods? These raw foods look like they're cooked. And I mean, explain to us a little about your journey to being a raw food chef, master
Mm,
chef.
mm. Well, I think the one thing I could say is I I feel like I'm just following orders. I'm following like what the divine has placed in front of me, what the divine has given me. In terms of my talents and abilities, and to really be of service and to provide that. A long time ago, I wrote. When I was writing mission statements and vision statements, and one of the key words that aligned with my value or values, I should say, is to inspire, and that was one of the things that I really wanted to set out to do, because when I first went raw, I was the only person I knew for at least a year that was doing it on the level that I was doing it. So it was a lonely existence. Obviously, I wasn't dating. I wasn't really being social. I was really kind of isolated. And at the same time, I was, in the lab,
Okay.
trying out all kinds of recipes. Any book. I mean, this is 20 years ago. So there's
Yeah.
no
What
YouTube.
what year was this?
This is like 99 going into 2000.
Wow.
So around that time. So,
Okay.
and then, at the time too, it was a bunch of the Y2K talk.
Okay. Yeah.
So the internet was around, and you had, if anyone following the stock market, you had the NASDAQ bubble.
Yeah.
So you had a lot of internet companies. You had the internet like reaching the in terms of Wall Street, the infrastructure in terms of the investment into the internet happening between, like, I say, the early 90s to 2000.
Okay.
Up until the whole Y2K event, and they thought that the world was going to end with Y2K.
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
in terms of, and, you know, I was kind of just in my little world, and I was following that. I was into that. I was actually trading in the stock market myself.
Okay.
And I guess I could talk about that, but yeah, I was on this raw food thing, and like I
Okay.
said, it was lonely. I have a video on my YouTube where I talk about like some of the challenges, you know, just becoming raw because, you know, aside from like the desire to have something heated or cooked or have fire applied to it,
Yeah.
I don't think that's the toughest part to becoming raw. Probably the toughest part, I mean, other than your like physical cravings, which I think we can pretty much master if we discipline ourselves. But
Yeah.
the toughest part by far, I believe, is the social aspect.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
agree.
and it's been interesting with this quarantine, you know, lockdown. You know, they pretty much shut all social activity off. So
Yeah.
really,
Yeah.
if there was any time to really become raw, it's now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
So it's
So
been
so
real. It's been, yeah. Go ahead.
so Kepra, because you raised a great point. So we're in 2000, and you certainly didn't grow up raw. You certainly didn't grow up vegan. What? Because the reason why I asked you, here's the thing. Me being vegan for quite a while myself, right? Certainly not raw, but been practicing 60% of my diet. Um, it's I run into a lot of people who want to make that transition or want to start somewhere. So you're back in 2000. You. I know me and your talk with friends. You were going to Howard when you first came to DC, right? Is
Right.
that when your transition came when you came to DC? And if it's so, who introduced you or what inspired you to say, I don't want to eat meat, I don't want to eat animals, I want to be vegan first, and then I want to not only be vegan, but I want to be a raw vegan diet, and then have a career being a master chef with raw food.
Well, there's a couple. There was a couple of things that happened before. It happened as a teenager in high school, growing up listening to hip hop and being into hip hop music and culture. You
Yeah,
know, I'm originally from upstate New York, right outside of New York City.
yeah,
So, you know, hip hop was just part of like what I knew growing up in the 70s
yeah,
and then into the 80s. You know, hip hop wasn't corrupted by corporations, and it was pure. It was a pure art form that was an expression of the black community, and part of that was politics, consciousness, health and wellness.
yeah,
So that started me on the path. You know, when I would go into Harlem and go on 125th Street to the book vendors, I'm looking at all the books. I'm reading about social injustice. I'm reading about, you know, history, well,
yeah,
true history.
yeah,
And I'm reading about health and wellness. And so those early books that I was able to get, you know, Dr. Africa, Queen of Four,
yeah,
and many others,
yeah,
those kind of laid the foundation, you know, to immediately like you know, start eating vegan food, like stop eating. Well, it wasn't really start eating vegan food. It was stop eating, you know, pretty much red meat. I think that's the first step that most people make. Dairy,
yeah,
and then, you know, poultry and fish, you know, after that.
yeah.
So that's what started.
And
Again, you know,
what
being
was that
yeah.
like though? Because that was it wasn't as popular as it is now being vegan. So where did you start when you made a decision not to? Where did you go? I mean, how did you make that bring that into fruition?
I mean,
Do you
it really just came down to making a decision. Just like,
okay?
yo, I'm you know, this is what I'm doing, and
Okay.
not really knowing what I'm doing. I was like, well, I know I may not know how to do this, but I hope I pretty much know not to do that, which is
Yes.
like eat this hamburger or
Yeah.
eat this fried chicken, you
Yes.
know, or eat
Yeah.
this pork chop, you
Okay.
know. So these are some of the things like that have may have been on my table. And
Gotcha.
so and then when I went to college, it really just hit another level, you know,
Okay.
because then I had more control over my diet
Yeah.
and my dietary choices. Now, again, this is I entered college in 1990,
Okay.
So this is, you know, again, it wasn't a whole lot of knowledge, and obviously, like you go to college today, and I mean, I'm pretty sure they got a litany of choices.
Yeah.
So you know, I pretty much was eating, you know, I guess what most people were eating, but just minus the meat,
Yeah.
you know. So, but what really was a key turning point was when I first Dick Gregory was invited to my school
Okay.
for Black History Month,
Okay.
and that lecture changed my life, and really set me on this path. He talked about a number of things, but when he opened up his Bible, turned to Genesis 120, 127, I believe. It's either 127 or
29, 29, 29 and 30.
129.
Every tree,
129, yes.
every tree bearing fruit, every plant yielding seed.
Yeah, yes. And having been raised a Christian and had, I mean, like when I say I was raised a Christian, I mean, I mean, my great grandmother started the church in my hometown, and my family went to church every Sunday, and every Saturday I was at choir rehearsal, and you know,
Yeah.
I was there every other day.
Yeah.
Never heard anything related to that verse or that being spoke about. You know,
Yeah.
so that was just totally mind blowing, and I started eating like fruit from
Yeah.
there. Like,
Yeah.
and so I would go on fruit benches, and you know, and again, I'm like 18, 19 years old, and
Wow.
I'm just doing, especially in summertime, I'm going to the organic market, and you know, there was no Whole Foods. You know, we talking mom and pop,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, country store vibe.
Yeah.
You know, you go in and you actually talk to the owner,
Yeah.
and it's like, okay, order me a case of organic oranges and watermelon and this,
Yeah.
and you know, and that started it. That was really the beginning, because you know, I pretty much been dealing with wholesaling ever since, you know.
So,
So even though
so
I
let
didn't
me,
have a business, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, so for all those tuning in, we're right now with Chef Khepra. Do me a favor, because we really want to get this is going to be a beautiful podcast. This guy is full with knowledge. I mean, I come sit with this guy in hours and try to play chess with him just to pick his brain about his mind. I mean, he's really deep. We're going to get into some topics such as astrology, detoxing, fasting. Do me a favor, if you can look at the arrow at the bottom of your page, and if you can send that out to 10 friends, I would really appreciate that, to see if we can get as many people in this room as possible. We're now at 42. I like to see if we can get it at 100. So do me a favor, if you can hit the arrow on your live and send us out for 10 friends right now, I would truly appreciate that. So Khepra, so you're 18, 19, you're reading these books, you're taking heed to this knowledge, right? And you're realizing right now that the vegetable life and fruit life has some values to it, right? So you start practicing and eating. How did you start preparing your food from there?
Well, well, again, it was pretty. I kept it pretty basic.
Okay.
You know, like I said, I was doing a lot of fruit, and I pretty much, you know, kept it really. I didn't know that I was a chef, and
Okay.
it wasn't until, again, about 10 years later, where when I made the decision to do full 100% raw food,
Wow.
100% of the time,
Yeah.
where, and even when I decided that, I pretty much kept it very simple and very basic, really just
Okay.
fruits and then big salads.
Yeah.
And you know, after about 6 months of that, I said, okay, I gotta do something a little different here. And because I had, you know, like if there was anybody like that I heard about, like maybe coming into town talking about raw food or whatever, and you know, just being in that vibration, you know, you hear like, oh, okay, you know, it is possible. You can make bread, you can make, you know, you can sprout, and then you can dehydrate, and you know, from the bread you can make sandwiches, and then pizza, and then, you know, all of these different things. And I was like, wow, okay. So then right there, you know, I was on the mission, you know, and the
Okay.
mission was to learn how to do all of these things.
Okay.
And so I purchased the, you know, again and again, I'm still a student.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when people talk about like, oh, this is expensive, and like, no, it's all about making that sacrifice.
Yeah.
I bought a
Yeah.
$400 Vitamix. I bought Vitamix was still $400 back
Yeah.
then. I brought a Green Star.
Okay.
I brought and I brought a dehydrator.
Okay.
So that's probably spent close to $1,000 just on the raw food kitchen equipment
Yeah.
that I
So
needed, and yeah,
go through that again, Kevin, because we got some people too there. So you bought a dehydrator,
I bought a
right?
dehydrator.
You bought a
Hmm.
Vitamix,
Yes, a
right?
Vitamix.
And
Yes.
what was the third? And what was the third one?
Oh, a Green Star.
A green. What's a
Uh,
gray star?
a Green Star is it's a dual machine. It does homogenizing and it does juicing. It depends on
Okay.
what setting or what, it has like basically you could put like a different plate in it,
Yeah.
and if you put the solid plate, it'll homogenize. If you put the mesh, it'll juice.
Okay.
So I needed it for the homogenizing because that was what I would need to basically grind down nuts to make or really grind down like sprouts if I wanted to make a
Okay.
bread or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Wow.
so and it's funny because I don't use a homogenizer today. I use pretty much a food processor. So
Okay.
something like a Cuisinart or like Cuisinart is a pretty well-known brand that you can find like in Costco or something like that.
Okay. Got you. Wow. So you took that equipment, and then that's when you started blending and making food.
Yeah, yeah, and my first raw food cuisine dish, I never forget. It was basically a vegetable or zucchini pasta salad.
Okay.
So I didn't have one of those fancy spiralizers. People they put the zucchini like right into the thing and then turn the knob, and then
Yeah.
it makes these nice like neat
Yeah.
noodles. No,
Yeah.
I had a vegetable slicer, like literally, like, okay, I'm slicing this zucchini, which is
Yeah.
a fruit, by the way.
Right.
I'm slicing this zucchini, and then I had a recipe for a cashew dressing,
Okay.
and then I cut up some other like bell pepper and onion and some other colorful vegetables. Put it in there, mix it together, poured the dressing, and I mean it sounds really basic, and it is, but it was really different than just having another salad. So there was a shift there for me, not only as a chef but as a raw food eater. It was like, wow, this satisfied me on some different levels. It was
So
aesthetic. It was aesthetic to look at, and then it was filling on a different level as well.
yeah.
So I was like, yeah. From there, again, that just started it, and I just, like I said, I was busy. I was busy in the lab.
That's great. So I'm gonna stop right now because we got some questions in the comments for
Okay.
all the time, and then
All
we're
right.
right now talking with Chef Khepra, and we're about to get really into this. I'm gonna take some questions. Thank you guys for chiming in. We got a lot of questions, and we're gonna try to get as many as possible. I have one question for you right now,
Okay.
Khepra, by Gabby. Gabby said, what's the best way to transition from eating meats, having a bad diet, straight into becoming vegan? Is it safe?
Oh, well, it's definitely safe. I think the biggest thing is one is education. I think we got to really educate ourselves to understand like when you eat animals, one, we're not really, eating animals is not optimal for our system. We are
Okay.
definitely, fruitarian, frugivores. As we eat, like we look at the other primates, they
Okay.
eat largely fruits, they eat green leafy vegetables, they eat nuts and seeds, and that
Yeah.
makes up probably about 90 to 99% of their diet. And
Yeah.
they'll eat other things like insects, and even some primates will eat other animals, but it's so limited. Like for us to be eating meat, every day, is really just, I mean, it's just like we've been, I mean, when you've been indoctrinated into something, just because it becomes normal doesn't mean it's natural, or
Okay.
doesn't mean that it's ideal. So really, it's, one, taking that step to educate, and then it's like, okay, well, what do I replace that with? Well,
Yeah.
really, sometimes it's important to just go totally, completely in the opposite direction and say, yo, I need to fast.
Yeah.
I need to clean house. I
Okay.
need to not eat. Like food is either an entertainment. It's about entertainment. About 80% of the time, most people eating food is not because they're hungry. It's because of habitual entertaining themselves.
Yeah.
So that's number one. And then aside from that, when we eat food, it's a drug. It becomes that drug that like it's just like any drug. It's like you eat, any, like if you drink soda, it's only gonna it's only gonna lead you to drink more soda.
Yeah.
So food is like that. The way our food is the food that most people eat is nutritionally empty,
Yeah.
no nutrition. Even the meat,
Yeah.
which meat is highly concentrated. Like that's the other thing about meat. Meat is like really concentrated form of nutrition. So concentrated that we should only have to eat. If we were eating meat, it would only have to be such a small amount.
Okay.
In relation to. But again, we don't have the teeth. We don't have the the digestive makeup. We don't have the
Yeah.
stomach acids. The length of our our colon and everything is not. It's going to putrefy. It's going to form maggots and parasites and viruses. These
Yeah.
things are going to form from within, not like something that can invade us, from someone else,
Right. And
or something else.
you talk a lot about this in your book, correct?
Yeah. I have a chapter, just bringing into question germ theory. Just talking about like germ theory, and
Right.
it's really, when it comes down to it, it's quack science.
Right.
It hasn't been proven scientifically. It's really just been hyped. It's really just about control and controlling the medical establishment,
Right.
and the practitioners, and me and you, the consumer,
Yeah. Yeah.
who's taking over the counter medication, who's resorting to not only drugs, but then if the drugs don't work, then it's surgery.
Yeah.
It's either surgery or radiation.
So
So it's
so
basically just killing us slowly,
so for
or
those
killing
who
us
just talking,
fast.
we're right here with Chef Khepra, and he's a master chef, particularly with raw foods. He has a book out called Paradise Health. I encourage you guys to go get it on Amazon. Be one of the best investments you ever made. Also, Chef, I'd like for you to say your website. Charlie, can you put his website on here so people can go to his website and check out his food and stuff, and I'll pin that. And another thing, since we're talking about that, you post this picture on your Instagram a couple of days. I screenshot it. Can you see the picture, Kepper?
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
with the noodles.
Let's talk about that
And
because you
it's,
were going right into that. So let's talk about the
oh,
thoughts
okay.
behind this picture because I got some feedback about this one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, this looks like from something from way back.
Yeah.
Maybe not so far back, but yeah, it's just it looks like maybe I was doing a lasagna,
No,
and
that you can't. What the picture right here is a picture you posted recently. It's the lady with the knife to the doctor's neck.
I don't see that picture. I don't see that
Okay.
picture. I still see the food picture.
Okay.
Okay, but I know what you're talking about. Oh,
Okay.
okay. Yeah. Well, basically, yeah, I mean, really to shift gears, these vaccines is like, because that's what that picture is really about. It's really about like, look, we either, you know, like if you want to shoot us up with poison, we're gonna fight to the death, basically, because it's number one. It's just like if you want to kill us, like be men about it. You know what I'm saying? Don't
Yeah.
try to act like, oh, we're trying to save you, we're trying to make you healthy, and then we're gonna sterilize you and paralyze you and kill you. On some, that's just beyond shady.
So
Uh,
it's beyond safe to say that your medicine is your food and your food and your medicine. Now, I have to bring this up, Kepra, and I know you don't mind. How old are you today?
oh well, next month yeah, next month I'll be 48.
48, ladies and
Yeah.
gents. 48 years. And how
So
long have you been raw food vegan?
yeah, 20 years.
20 years. I tell you, man. I mean, that is amazing. There was a question here. There's a couple of questions I want to get by that Mike asked, and I'm going to ask the question. He asked a great question that I like for you to touch on real quick. The question is, do you have time to touch on how someone interested in making life changes can start? Topics such as timing of the ingestion of certain foods during the day to get the most benefit.
Okay, all right. Well, it's pretty simple. As I mentioned, about fasting. That's like we got to spend some time on that because until I really, and I mean, I'm gonna share my story with fasting because actually when I first went raw, I um I started with fasting, and I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have any real guidance. It wasn't really a lot of books, at least not a lot of books that I could find on the topic. I just
Yeah.
knew, okay, I just needed. Spirit told me to fast. I just started drinking water, and that was it. Not
Okay.
even juice. And what would happen initially with doing water fast is let's say I think the first fast I did because it was actually like again my 20-year anniversary, which was the winter solstice,
Okay.
uh, back in 99 2000. So I did a 7-day water fast going into the new year, and then when I broke it, I began to overconsume food,
Okay.
and I didn't give up, or I kept with it. So I would fast again, and in the same pattern would happen. I would overconsume food once I broke fast.
Okay.
So I became really, like, I say, well, this is not healthy, me going to do these extremes.
Yeah.
So I stopped fasting. I said, well, if I eat raw, I don't have to fast.
Okay.
And it was 2 years into that where when I discovered coconut water, or implemented the coconut water in my life, where that it changed everything. And not only had I made coconut water my only water that I drink, I began, because I did a coconut water fast and I had none of those issues. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't hungry during the fast. I didn't feel the need to binge at breaking the fast. And I said, man, this is like got to be the best water on the planet. And from my
Yeah.
research, and that's what my book is about. My book is
Okay.
really is really about that discovery, because people do the master cleanse, or what, and I talk about that in my book. The real
Yeah.
master cleanse is a cleanse with the coconut water. You want to talk
Okay.
about you want to talk about herbs, you want to talk about digestion. Like, again, coconut, specifically the coconut water, is the number one food on the planet.
Why
The
do you
number
say
one food, because one, and mention, I didn't say water, I said food. Coconut water is a water and a food at the same time. There is no
okay?
other, there is nothing else that can have that dual distinction. By it being both a food and a water, when you drink it, you're drinking a whole food. You're not drinking like even a fresh juice that has been processed. You're drinking a whole food that can go through your colon and flush your colon. You don't need herbs to flush your colon. You don't need a colon cleanse. All you need to drink is that 100% coconut water. It will flush your colon. It will clean out your whole entire system. Plus, give you, and then it's electricity.
Okay.
So everything in the body, free radicals, like when we have like pains and sicknesses, it's free radicals that are usually behind it. and
Okay.
or free radicals is positive charged particles, and it's wreaking havoc on your healthy tissue that has electrons. Coconut
Wow.
water has electrons. Okay, so that
Okay.
makes it electric, and it allows
Okay.
that electricity to flow through your body. The other thing I want to mention too, the other thing that is the best form, even probably better than coconut water, is the planet, the earth. So we have to connect with the earth. We should be always touching the earth, as really ideally 24 hours a day. I know that that's not practical for most people, but touching the earth, when you skin on skin contact with the planet, it starts to transmit electrons through your body and provide healing. So
Really?
coconut water does that. Yes, coconut water does that because it's electric. Foods that are high, like berries, cacao,
Yeah.
cinnamon, like different spices, acai,
Yeah.
goji berries. These things have like electrons that provide healing, because again, like I said, when there's disease and there's discomfort, it's basically a buildup of positive energy. And the same with radiation. We talk,
Okay.
we're moving into new technology, new EMFs with
Yeah.
5G, Wi-Fi, this cell phone.
Yeah.
Really, naturally, the only radiation we should be getting is the sunlight. But we have artificial lights, we have all of these things, byproducts of electricity, which is all the more reason we got to learn about earthing. We got to learn about fasting with coconut water. We start to fast with coconut water. That's changed everything. It'll change. Even I was raw food for 2 years before I started drinking coconut water, and it took my raw food game to like up teen level. So fasting with coconut water, and again, I go through it in my book,
Yeah.
Paradise Health, because I wanted to, because I there was nothing written about coconut water, especially in relation to fasting.
Okay.
So
So
the subtitle of my book is A Feasting and Fasting Guide, or Optimal Health, or is Feasting and Fasting Optimal Health Through Detoxification, and basically using coconut water as the basis and foundation for that.
wow.
So
So
I
you
know that
got
was a
you
lot there. Yeah.
and you can know that's actually perfect because you gave us a handful because I'll be straightforward with you. Before I met you and I came to your store, I used to do the same thing as far as fasting, but I would break my fast and start binging, and I found
Right.
out real quick that the days that I had took off, the hours I had took off not eating did not do any help because I started eating all the food that I was fasting from. And then I
Right.
started incorporating and learning from you preparing dishes that there's different ways where you can actually eat raw food the way you would prepare them. So what I hear you saying is that coconut water is one of the best, if not the best, second to earth things you can do with fasting and making things such as your smoothies and preparing your food. Where do you find the coconut in this day in this area, like in the DC area? Where would you find the best coconut water?
Well, I mean, you want to, if you can get the fresh coconuts from Florida, there's some markets around town that carry it.
Okay.
Again, you know, there's no, when you're dealing with natural foods, you don't, even though coconut it's like a, it's like a pressurized canister holding that water fresh in that
Yeah.
shell.
Yeah.
But it is, I mean, it's not made of steel, and over
Okay.
time it will break down, and and if there's like a little crack, or some air get in there, then you either got to process it right away, or it's going to spoil. So I'm
Okay.
just saying all that to say, like, again, these are plants, and
Okay.
once you remove it from the tree, then it's on a different life cycle.
Yeah.
But you do the best you can. If you're not able to get those coconuts, I know some people who do the Thai coconuts. Again, it's like we live in this world, and we we have to compromise. I mean, because you may be in a city or state where you can't get the Florida coconuts like I can get. Um,
Right.
if there's any brand, and you know, sometimes I had, like when we first had quarantine, I didn't get coconuts for like a month. And
Really?
so it was like the first time in years that I
Yeah.
wasn't able to get coconuts. And
Yeah.
so I resort to my second option is the Harmless Harvest brand. It is a bottle. It's a bottle brand that's from I think it's from Thailand, and but it hasn't been pasteurized.
Okay.
So, but the water is a little sweet. It's a little sweet than what I'm used to. So I like
Yeah.
to add a little lime, and I add some a little turmeric powder,
Okay.
and that's my little Khepra recipe with the Harmless Harvest. So I think
Gotcha.
if you're doing that, like just like a teaspoon of turmeric, a powdered turmeric, and again, and turmeric is another highly electric food, uh, and some fresh lime juice. And to
Gotcha.
me, that balances because that Harmless Harvest is really sweet.
Gotcha.
So like
So
definitely sweeter
some
than like what
some
I'm
of the
getting.
people in here are asking about the coconut water that's in the carton, this can, and what brand. So let's say they can't get
Yeah,
coconut like you
but
are. What's your
that's why I
thoughts on
mentioned. No,
yeah?
I mentioned the Harmless Harvest brand.
Harmless Harvest is the brand.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and you can find that. You know, it's in Whole Foods. It's everywhere.
Okay. Someone said, what are your thoughts on chakras? Chakras?
On chakras?
Yeah.
Okay, well, you know, like basically with the chakras is, you know, it's just part of our aura, you know,
Okay.
and our energy system.
Yeah.
And you know, I wouldn't just like focus on the chakras per se. I would focus on like, you know, everything that has to do with the chakras, like our meditation.
What are chakras?
Uh,
If I don't want to sound that, but what is chakras?
well, basically, you know, most people agree on the fact that we have seven chakras that start from our root,
Okay.
or like that's where like our sex organs, and
Okay.
go up like to our brain, and then maybe even above it.
Okay.
Uh, so basically, again, it's just energy, different levels of energy, and like any system, like for example, you can equate chakras to astrology. You can equate chakras to like foods and
Okay.
things of that nature. So again, chakra is part of a larger system where, you know, you can study and make these connections. And then, you know, when you go into like your meditation and your energy practices, like whether you do dance, yoga,
Because you
um,
do yoga, right? I know
yes,
that
I
you
do. Yeah, I do yoga
and you teach it as well, right? To some extent.
to some extent.
Yes, sir. Another question was, what would you say the energy level and power of thought in a transcendent personification?
Okay, say that again.
What would you say? And this is Ricky Red's answer. This. What would you say about the energy level, the power of thought in a transcendent personification?
Okay. Well, I don't necessarily get that last part, but
Okay.
I'll just say the power of thought. Well,
Okay.
you know, I mean, we know that, you know, thoughts are things,
Yeah.
and I mean that can be really deep because then, you know, we really, you know, get into the science of mind. You know, we
Okay.
start talking about conscious versus the subconscious mind. You know, we get into like, you know, intuitive flashes. You know,
Okay.
which I think when you again you start to go into a meditation, you know, it's almost like you really become well, allow yourself to become a receiver of messages. Like, you know, my years of practicing meditation, I never really saw the value of, like, say, trying to make your mind still, or not have a thought, but actually use that time to direct your thought and to
Yeah.
focus your thought. and key in on not just thought, but an associated feeling with that thought.
Right.
So we thoughts become things when we attach our emotion to those thoughts.
Right.
So it's really not so much about thinking, but it's about the feeling. And it's like like for example, I close my eyes and I imagine myself on the beach, and I could see the water, I could feel the breeze, I could feel the sand. Then I'm at the beach. I'm at
Yeah.
the beach. You can't tell me any different.
Yeah.
You
And
said
you do it.
because I feel it. Because I feel it, and we can use that technique with anything in life. You could use it in your relationships. You can use it with your health. You can imagine. We really don't understand the power of our imagination, and the power. That's what really makes us the gods on earth. Is that we can form pictures in our head, which is why doing our artists are so important, and why artists have to be conscious in their work, whether it's visual art or whether it's music, whatever it may be, because those imagery that we can create in our mind, and then we feel that again, that allows us to, that's what separates us from the other animals, is that how
Another
we
question.
can create. Yeah.
First of all, thank you for that. For all those tuning in, this is Chef Khepra, Master Chef, a lot of other things. It's actually a dishonor to just say Master Chef. Trust me, because I know him personally. I'm trying to get as many questions as possible, but continue to send the questions in. Do me a favor, hit the airplane button on the back of your screen and share this with a friend, at least 10 friends, so we can make sure as many people is in here. Make sure you get his book on Amazon. It's called Paradise Health. And also your website. What's your website, Khepra?
Yeah, it's Kepra's Raw Food juicebar.com, or you
Charlie,
can
if
go
you
to
can pin that for me, I would be.
yeah, and actually I would say you could get my book on my website, and
Okay.
I
All
will
right.
personally sign it versus like
Okay.
getting it on Amazon.
Yeah, I
I think
apologize
I
about
think I
that.
may make a
Yeah.
few pennies off the Amazon sale.
Okay.
But I do have it on sale. I normally, I think it's like $10
Yeah.
on my website, and I'll
Got
sign
you.
it. I'll sign it
Got
for
you. So you
sure.
got that. If you go to his website, Charlie, put the website on it for me if you don't mind, brother. I'm gonna pin his website. You can also get the book there, and he'll personally sign the book. Not only that, you'll run into him, and you really need to check out his restaurant. I mean, that indeed will, you will understand what we're talking about more when you get to really get a chance to taste the thing that this chef makes. A lot of people have been asking about supplementing teas with detoxing. Give me your feedback on this whole wave of detoxing with teas and supplemental teas. What's your thoughts about that, Capra?
Well, it would depend on what's in the tea, number one. But really, again, it starts and ends with the coconut water. Like you don't really need, because let's say let's say the tea. I mean, if it's something mild and you want to like put it with the coconut water, like steep it in the coconut water, I don't see any big problem with that. I mean, I don't
Okay.
think it's not really necessary. But if
Yeah.
it's something more aggressive that's going to stimulate something, like that's what we don't want unless you need that.
Why that?
Uh, well, because the thing with fasting, and this is the power of fasting, is that you really want to destimulate. Food, every time we eat, we're stimulating our digestive system. And what fasting does is it allows the body to destimulate. And that's where the healing becomes. It's it's like we're allowing our body to really have a rest. And when it has that rest, it can truly rejuvenate. Now, if we're bringing all this stimulation, like where's the rest at? It's really no different than taking well, it is different, but it's just like taking a natural form of drug. Like you saying, okay, I'm gonna put this tea that's gonna like stimulate my bowels, versus like just drinking coconut water and allowing your bowels to do it itself on its own ability and the power. Your bowels are going to be better off in the long run doing it that way, because these different herbs and teas and stuff can become a crux. So,
Mm,
so that's the biggest reason we want to allow our own body to regenerate itself, and it can only regenerate with rest. If we're putting a lot of stimulation, there's no regeneration. But sometimes, again,
wow.
and it takes under the guidance of someone who has experience to say, okay, well, take this, senna or cascada sagrada, or something else that's going to like ease the detox. Because like, let's say somebody's drinking coconut water and they're breaking out in their hot sweats, they're
Mm,
congested, they're nauseated, they got headaches, their body is detoxing, but the detox is coming out slow and it's painful. So
wow.
sometimes, you need to bring in these substances to speed things up. But
Okay.
ordinarily, if you're relatively healthy and you're doing it more as a maintenance, then you definitely don't want to take these things.
Wow.
Now if it's something you haven't done, let's say you're overweight, let's say you've been smoking, drinking, you've been living that other kind of life, and you decide you want to just break out with a fast, then yeah, you probably gonna have some healing, uh, like some healing discomfort.
So
Uh, yeah,
let me let me run that back to make sure. So someone says so no to teas. So for the most part, no to teas. It's a more of a natural way of medicating yourself as far as Kepler is concerned. I agree. And he said basically if you are in good shape and if you adopt the fasting method, particularly with coconut water, then there won't be no need for no stimulation because when you're fasting, you're trying to de-stimulate. Is that correct, Kepler? In
that's right.
addition to that,
That's correct.
in addition to that, Crepper, about 5 years ago, I would say 4 years ago, I made a very healthy decision to buy your DVD. And I tell you, and I invest in a lot of things, but it has to be in the top three of investments I made. The DVD simply told me how to prepare raw food. I bought a dehydrator. I looked at your thing, but it was not only that. You talked about the natural cycle of the body and fasting, how we have our natural fast. Could you explain that? And can you bridge that into because you give interesting topics on astrology, the female body, the man body, and how it coincides with astrology. So can you start
Mm.
off talking about the natural cycle of the body, when you're supposed to eat, when you're supposed to eat, what's the hours, what you eat, and then bridge into the astrology. I know I'm trying to get a lot out of you, brother. I promised the people that I would get a lot from you.
Okay, okay, no problem. All right, so uh, okay, so all right, if we're talking about cycles, probably the most obvious dominant cycle is our daily cycle. And with our daily cycle, 24 hours, where the sun comes up and goes, well, doesn't come up per se, but we get we understand, okay, that, through our daily cycle, we really should eat, we really should plan to eat one time. And when I say eat, like that meal is going to be something of like higher protein, higher fat than anything else. So, all right, let's take me today. Right now it's 8. It's a little after 8. So I started my day. Normally, I don't even eat or drink before 12. I'm just active and I'm busy. I'm up maybe around 7, and I'm going through my day. And usually around 11 to 12, then that's when I'll start drinking my coconut water. And I'll probably have anywhere between 32 to 64 ounces of coconut water. And then if I have more coconut water, then I drink less juice. If I have less coconut water, then I'll drink more juice. So, but all in total, I'm going to have anywhere between 64 ounces of coconut water, fresh juice, and some combination of thereof. And that's gonna bring me basically to the late afternoon, like maybe 3, 4, 5 o'clock, where I'll start to feel more hungry, and I may decide to eat at that point. So I'm gonna have my meal sometime between no earlier than 3 and probably no later than 5 or 6 o'clock. That I'll have my meal. And that meal be some like raw cuisine. You know, I love like seaweed and wild rice. Um, you know, I do kale and then entrees. You know, my burger. I may do something or a wrap like with ackee or avocado. You know, something like that. Some nice
And,
fats, nice
and why do you wait
protein.
so late to start that? Because growing up for breakfast, break fast, we start
Right,
off with eggs, bacon,
right,
grease, coffee, sugar.
right,
And I'm going to
right.
get to the question about sugar and addiction to sugar. But why do you wait so late in the day to eat those healthy things, Kepra?
Well, my body. Okay, the food that I ate yesterday is still in my body today.
Yes.
You know, so my body in the morning, I'm good. Like that food is still there. It may not be like right in my stomach cavity, but it's in my intestines. It
Yes.
hasn't left. Like
Yes.
and all the more reason we need to eat a largely either 100% or largely plant-based diet, because anything else, the food moves relatively slow.
Yeah.
And so if we're eating all of these other foods and we know how much time it takes for it to get from one end to the other, we need to be eating, fresh, living, clean foods.
Yeah.
So I'm good. I'm hydrated. I don't need to drink any additional water on top of the water that I drank like yesterday. But like I said, once I feel like I I, I could use some kind of nourishment, then I start drinking coconut water. And like I said, coconut water is not just water; it's a whole food. And
Wow.
so I'm really eating,
Yeah.
and so I'm getting everything that I need, and I'm good. And so
Okay.
maybe like I said, like around maybe 3, 4, 5 o'clock, I'll have my meal, and then that's it. I give my body a full 23, 24 hours to digest that, and then maybe around maybe an hour from now I'll have another juice, and then that'll be it for the day.
So wait, so are
Uh,
you saying that you can eat once a day and that's healthy?
that's optimal. That's optimal.
I love
Now,
it.
now, 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 you mentioned now when we're
So, so,
children.
so tell me why 3 meals a day isn't optimal.
Well, because again, unless you're now there are some caveats. Unless you're like a woman who's pregnant,
Okay.
or maybe like a growing child.
Yeah.
uh you again, a growing child, and even for our children, I think we're overfeeding our children, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But because our children probably only really need to eat twice a day. you
Mm,
know uh like they can eat, like they don't have to eat like right when they wake up. They can get moving and get some circulation going, and maybe after an hour. And again, they may not be convenient because with school, getting kids to school and all that stuff, you obviously want to feed them and all that. But if these schedules weren't in the picture, then I would say, like, when children wake up, they get moving, and they they're running and they're playing, they're doing what children do. And then maybe after an hour or so they can have their first meal, and then that first meal can be for a few hours, and then
mm-hmm.
they can have their next meal. Like, it's okay it's okay, just like for us to be hungry, for children to be hungry, because
Yeah.
when you're actually hungry, you're gonna digest your food better.
Wow. Okay.
Again, like I said, we eat mainly for it's habitual entertainment.
Yeah.
We're not eating because we're truly hungry. And
Yeah.
so when you do that, it's like, again, most disease and sickness is going to result not from germs. It's going to result basically from overeating. Like, you need a break from food.
So,
Like,
so,
when you get sick, you lose your appetite, and that's by divine design.
so, Kepper,
The,
I haven't got a chance to get to astrology. You're saying some good stuff. We now at 40 people, more than 40 people. I have 30
Well,
seconds left. Can I close out this and bring all the people back in real quick? I
oh,
promise I
oh, yeah,
won't keep it
oh,
long.
yeah. Okay.